Hi, I'm Yusuf Salam. Welcome to the Peace, Love, and Shawarma podcast, where my friends and I discuss possibilities and strategies for a better world where love, peace, and justice reign supreme. Today's guest is my good friend Don Mahmood. Don is a seasoned entrepreneur and business leader with over 28 years of experience across multiple industries, including healthcare IT, apparel manufacturing, and management consulting. He is a true leader and a highly respected figure in both the apparel and healthcare industries and is well regarded for his dedication, commitment, and unwavering drive for success. In addition to his role as CEO of Decision 168, Mr. Mahmood also serves on the boards of Z2 Squared, a marketing, consulting, and development firm, as well as MedSmarter, an institution that provides future physicians with support in USMLE boards prep, clinical placements, and residency preparation. With over 35 years of residency in Gwinnett County, Georgia, and a family that includes his wife, son, and daughter, Don is deeply committed to serving his community and making a positive impact on the lives of others. He has been recognized for his contributions through features in Voyage ATL and Shout Out Atlanta magazines, as well as being recognized by the African American Entrepreneurs Association as an Entrepreneur of the Year, further solidifying his status as a dedicated and compassionate leader who never wavers in his commitment to serving the community. You're going to enjoy this interview with my dear friend. Welcome, Don. It's so good to have you today.
Hey, Yusuf, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. Just awesome to hear your voice. I've
Yeah,
shared your wonderful and impressive background in the intro, and I want to take a moment to let our audience know about our friendship. And after I give my little take, I'll let you share anything that you want about how we met. That would be great. Then we can get into the questions.
sure.
While I have while I have pastored churches and been ordained with various organizations throughout my 30 plus years of Christian ministry, I never really fit in with the conventional American church paradigm. Around 2010, I left that beaten rut and needed to reinvent myself in order to break free from the intolerant religious systems that weren't designed to accommodate my evolving Christian beliefs, activism, and outspokenness. And unfortunately, theology degrees and pastoral experience seldom translate into a decent income for a husband and father of two outside of the church world. Therefore, I had to do something pretty radical to survive. I'd been an avid gym rat since high school, so in my 40s, I decided to become a personal trainer. You have to be in pretty decent shape for potential clients to take you seriously, especially as you age. Therefore, I got into the natural bodybuilding scene, competed, and even won some hardware. It was around 2009, while I was a personal training director with a prestigious personal training organization, that I met Don at a greater Atlanta gym. I became his trainer, and the friendship began. Um, Don, I'm so thankful for you and your families' love, kindness, and generosity toward me and my family throughout the years. I thank you that our friendship and our care for each other transcends time and space. I'm now in Northern Indiana, you're in Atlanta, but the friendship remains. I'll never forget the year when you found out it was our wedding anniversary and you set us up with a beautiful meal at a Persian restaurant. We'll always remember that. Just so beautiful. You and your precious wife provided my boys, Jonathan, with his very first job, and Joel had already been working for me, and you also hired him on, and that was with MedStarter, and that was fun. You even let me in on the experience, and for anyone, MedSmarter, and Don can elaborate on this a little bit, but MedSmarter is a prep course pretty much for physicians who are getting into the medical field for them to pass their final exam, and so what they needed was people who were kind of actor patients, and so my both my sons were acted as patients for these doctors that folks who were going to be doctors, And so I joined in, and Don would pick out your ailment. And he was so kind to give me hemorrhoids that one day. And I remember giving that one doctor, I think he was from India, but we had conspired that I was going to like be a redneck patient and just give him fits. And he handled it so well, as I did with my hemorrhoids. So
You
now,
got amazing memory.
yes. Now, Don is an American Muslim of Pakistani descent, and I'm a Christian of European descent. The probability of our paths crossing and us becoming friends in Atlanta were probably lower than both of us winning the lottery. But here we are. Again, welcome, my dear friend. And before we get into questions, if you want to share anything about our experience together, feel free.
Of course. Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. And it is great to hear your voice again. I know we've talked about getting together in person several times over the few years that you've been gone to Indiana now.
Mm-hmm.
But schedules being so tight, it makes it very difficult. But it is good to hear your voice, and I am so glad for your friendship. I still remember when we went to I think it was the Orange Coffee House off.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I've got the picture. I've
Yeah,
got the picture. I'm
we
going to
got-
put it. I will put it on the podcast. That picture. Yeah.
yeah, and then we had we stopped off to get dessert cake, and it was so good. The apple, it was like a apple crumble cake, and I got a piece for my wife, and I ate it on the way to the off back to the office instead of saving it for her. That's how good it was, and I had gotten permission from you to be able to eat that dessert because I remember we were heavily working out in those days. You helped me get in some great superhero shape. I remember I used to post those, and you would reshare that. So again, definitely
Mhm.
thank you for your friendship, and I look forward to continuing it for years to come.
Yes, me too. And I do look forward to meeting in person. And I believe that will happen. I'll be able to hang out some more and hopefully multiple times. So, yeah, um, just appreciate you again so much. Please tell us about your life's journey and how you went from being a child in Pakistan to a successful entrepreneur in America.
So I'm glad you asked that question because that does give me an opportunity to kind of share my story of my why and where I'm at now. Of course, there's a little statement that I'd like to make that I've made a lot of money in my life and I've lost just a little bit more. So it's always that grind and the struggle to keep pushing forward, and that's something that you don't want to ever stop. You have to keep moving forward, right?
Mm,
Um, when I originally came to the U.S. With my parents. Of course, we migrated when I was 6 years old, and I went back to Pakistan for the first time when I was 14. And the age of 14 was a very impressionable age for me. And our entire family went back. We were visiting, and there's like a huge shopping center there. We went for a fancy family meal. There's probably like 30 of us there,
mm,
and you know, uh, it was really enjoyable. And after the meal, we went to go get ice cream and such. And then, you never realize how blessed you are until you're looking around. Then I felt this tug on my pants, and there was a little kid,
mhm,
probably about 5 or 6 years old, and he wasn't begging me for money, but he was trying to sell me a little bag of popcorn, not the
mm.
Ziploc kind, but like the old school kind where you would put a sandwich in, and then you would flip that bag. It had like the little flip top.
Oh, yeah.
So he tried to sell me that, and then that got me thinking that my I'm here with my family enjoying my life, and you see these other kids here like this. What's the difference between me and him? That could have been me very easily. Just
Mm,
because I was lucky enough to be blessed with a family that pulled me out of those type of situations, and then so many others. And not like that's all around. That's the only thing around there, but it kind of opens up your eyes. Like the world is so big, um,
mm,
and with our differences, we make it even bigger, right?
mhm,
But we're here for a very short period of time, and I reflect on that quite a bit. When I move forward in my story, I'll tell you a little bit. There's another statement and idioms and things like that that I like to share. But yeah, that's where it started for me, because my dad had instilled in me that, always keep your hand in a giving position, so you
Hmm.
can help others. And at that age, I had decided that I need to put myself in a position where I can help, my people in that type of situation. And honestly, when I look back at this age, um, the happiest I've ever been is when I'm always helping someone.
Yes. Now, as far as your dad, I love that. As far as having your hand in a giving position, does that you think that is just a personal conviction or something cultural or from Islam? Share a little bit about that.
I think that comes from obviously my background is I am Muslim. My
Hmm.
background is Islam. My religion is Islam, and then my father's religion is also Islam, and I think it has a lot to do with the upbringing, also because the teachings, in any religion, whether it's Islam, Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, the base is humanity, right? um, it's us as people that create the changes, um, for whatever benefit that we may be thinking that we're going to get.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on what each religion teaches, which is the similarities, we end up focusing on the differences, which are very minute, mind you. I think. Um, but we forget to realize that we are here for a short period of time, and in the grand scheme of things, we don't even hold the value of a grain of sand. But each one of us thinks that the world revolves around us.
Mm.
The world, again, outer space, everywhere, it's so huge, and it, we need to not, again, I don't want to preach or anything like that, but I think
Yeah.
if we um, look at humanity and where it's come, yeah, there's a lot of negativity,
Hmm.
uh, but there are a lot of opportunities for positivity as well. And if we embrace positivity and embrace the differences, I think we can make that difference that we're looking to make.
And I think if our eyes are open, that in some way, shape, or form, that little boy is tugging on our pant leg right now in just in different forms. But there's so much that so many ways we can bless humanity and love one another and connect. So I love that. Yeah. So I'm sorry I interrupted your story, but so we went from the boy tugging on your
Yeah.
pants. Let's move from there.
Yeah, so yeah, the boy tugging on my pants. That's where I made that decision, and I'll give you another little saying I like to say is like the decisions we make today shape the decisions of tomorrow, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So at that time, I had decided that I'm going to put myself in a position to help others, and that's what I kind of focused on. I've had a few, jobs here and there, but other than that, I've always had some type of business that I focus on.
Hmm.
Trying to create opportunity for others and as for myself. And my focus is like kind of just building that infrastructure,
Yeah.
having that realization of I know I'm not going to be here for a very long time. Um,
Hmm.
and I'll give you another little thing. I was going to say this a little bit later on in the conversation, but I think it kind of fits in with the why of how we do everything. Like, so if you calculate from the beginning of time to now, the number of people that have been born, dead, and buried and gone,
Hmm.
I actually Googled this, and it's like 146 billion,
Hmm.
whatever calculation they use. I don't know how they came up with that, but
Yeah.
146 billion or so, and who's around is around about 8 billion, right?
Yeah.
Of those 138 billion that have been already gone, not one single person was able to figure out how they can take anything from this world onto the next,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything special about me, you, or anybody else of these other 8 billion that are still here that are going to be able to, uh, figure out how to take anything with us. So why do we have to worry about that, right? Why can we not just focus on humanity, focus on helping each other? Yeah, have a successful life, whatever you feel that success may be. If you want to be a billionaire, work towards that, help others, pull people up.
Yeah.
If you're focused on just having a regular normal life, which is perfectly fine too, You don't
Mhm.
have to live your short period of time based on other people's expectations.
Yes. Now here's while you're talking, here's an observation I've had, and it is, it's a painful observation in ways when I look at, the United States, I look at my own life and education and the paradigm that I, grew up with. And here in America, pretty much they train you in school to get a job. The mindset is to get a good job.
Mhm.
People come from overseas and their mindset is to start a business.
Right.
um, we, we didn't grow up thinking about being entrepreneurs. It was really just, hey, serve the man,
Right.
and and I think that's something that the youth can really learn something from.
Yeah, I agree. So I actually go to schools and talk to students once in a while whenever they have me, and that's
Yeah.
one of the topics that have came up. Uh, Things have changed drastically in every sector, over the past a few hundred years. But it looks like the classrooms are still the same.
Hmm.
There's a lot of change that does need to occur, and I don't know if this might be taken the wrong way or anything like that, but if you're not looking to be a doctor or somebody specific in a particular area that needs to learn,
Hmm.
in depth, whatever information or knowledge that you need, it's right at your fingertips. You just should have the critical thinking experience of how to find that information.
Hmm.
There's a thing
Hmm.
I like to tell my kids is gone are the days of the statement of saying, "Oh, I don't know." It should
Yeah.
be always let me find out because again, you
Yes.
have all the information at your fingertips. You could go online. It's just
Yeah.
about your priorities, right? What is important to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Or you have to weed through disinformation, but again, critical thinking is the key. And you'll find when you search, you're going to find ample evidence for certain things. And yeah, and be able to really teach yourself and be a self learner with everything that's out there. And of course, I'm college education. I'm not against that, but at the
mm,
same time, that is not the end all be all. And too many people have so much student debt and a degree that's really useless, pretty much in the real world, when they could have, learned a trade or just, again, started a business, been an entrepreneur. I mean, we're seeing kids do that now. Like at the age of 10, you see these testimonies. There's people
yeah.
that, with serious businesses and they haven't even graduated high school.
Yep. I mean, technology has leveled the playing field and opened up opportunities for so many people. Um, I'll give you another comparison from my father's days. I remember he used to tell me when he had to book a call overseas, they would have to schedule out for like 3 or 4 weeks in advance, right?
Mhm.
Now, if I want to talk to somebody at one of our factories, I can just WhatsApp them, FaceTime them, video like
Yes.
within seconds,
Yes.
milliseconds, and I have all the information on my fingertips, quick. You know, so there's no reason why we should not be able to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. Yeah, there's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of market factors, but a lot of it would have to do with grit and are you willing to take the pain because entrepreneurship is going to be pain, especially early on, because it takes a lot out of you.
Hmm.
It's not all glamour and you know Lamborghinis and yeah,
Yeah.
that can be part of it, but it takes a while to get to that level.
Yeah. Now,
The right.
you could have gone to a bunch of different nations. Y'all could have gone to and migrated different places. But do you believe that that there was something special about the soil in America, so to speak, that also helped you to succeed?
So I think now I have to speak for myself, but I have to take from experiences with dealing with so many other people. I think a lot of my knowledge, information, and how to interact came with that interaction with so many different people at a young age.
Hmm.
Um, there's a certain, or especially around those days when a lot of the foreigners were coming or migrating to the United States. There's the American dream.
Hmm.
I think they say it's 2-car garage, house on the hill,
Mhm. White
that
picket fence. Yeah.
yeah, that type of thing. So there's a American dream that's sold to people, and in order to achieve that, there's certain things like when you're coming from overseas, and it's not necessarily you're coming there because you're in hardship or this that whatever. Sometimes you just come because you want a better life
Mhm.
for your children, expand and do more, right?
Mhm.
And that's not to say. I mean, I've seen some of when my father came here. He came in '78 or '79, I believe,
Mhm.
and we came in '82. So um, you see, just the sacrifice of being away from your family for those 4 years. Uh, can you imagine being without your wife and kids for that long?
Yeah. It's a
You know,
long
so
time.
that's a sacrifice in itself, and then
Mhm.
having to work hard, leaving a successful business behind, and then starting from scratch.
Mhm.
Um, there's a lot that goes into that.
Okay. So it does sound like, well, that the American soil was pretty good, at least
Yeah, yeah.
with what you had to work with. Yeah.
Not only then, even now,
Yeah.
given the current environment of all that stuff that's going on, is like, I was born in Pakistan. That's my, uh, you want to call it my motherland, my homeland, whatever you want to call it. But I grew
Mhm.
up here since I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
How can you differentiate between a mother that gave you birth and a mother that raised you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the love for the United States is here. It's just there's certain things that I feel that need to be done or addressed so we can keep that American dream alive. I
Mhm.
mean, unfortunately, if you look at the world stage, we are starting to or have been lagging behind, and
Yes.
that American dream has been in danger for several years now.
Yes, and much of that to me, and this is just me talking, but has to do with the military industrial complex and imperialism. And
Mm,
instead of taking care of things at home and loving people around the world, things at home are neglected and we're bullying people around the world. And
right.
right now, especially in Palestine and Gaza, just committing the most heinous atrocities, and that really breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree with that, and it's sad that we have to be careful of what we say or what we don't say, because you know you never know who's going to take your words and misconstrue them, or
Hmm.
cut them and paste them here and there, and try to make
Yeah.
life harder for you.
Yeah. Well,
Whereas
now with
all
AI, they
all
can
we're
make
trying
they
to
can
do
make
is
something look and sound like you.
yeah, exactly, and all everyone is trying to do is just live a happy, decent life. You know, I guess people don't realize that we're not all going to be here for a very long time, and I don't
Mhm,
think people
mhm.
really think about that departure. Um,
Yeah. It looks like a lot of, our elders, the boomers in high places aren't thinking about that at all because 'cause they're just have a crash and burn mentality and just go out with the evil, and that's just that really saddens me. But
yeah,
let's move on a more positive note here. I am
yeah,
I'm really so thankful for you, and you've been an inspiration to me because you've told me of certain ventures you've had that didn't work out so well for whatever reason, but you never gave up. You kept pressing in, and I'm just so, lack of a better term, and it's not like I'm above you by any means, but I'm so proud of you as my brother. Let's put it that
yeah.
way.
I really
And
appreciate
your
that.
wife as my sister, and your kids as just niece and nephews. I mean, it's just, I feel that way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I've always had a good relationship with and I believe when we spoke, when I started with you, training with you, and
Hmm.
we, we we just started having these conversations, and I told you that I felt really comfortable to be open with you, and having our friendship grow, and
Yeah.
that's why when you left. I kind of went all over the place. Didn't really, follow through with the training programs and everything that was here, because half
Yeah.
of it, if not more, was I get to offload my thoughts onto you so I can relax a little bit by working out and getting in shape.
I thoroughly enjoyed it too, and I think it was just as much. It was even more the spiritual and the intellectual element of our being together for hour sessions, throughout the week. We spent a lot of time together,
Yeah, yeah.
as it was physical. I mean, it was really, I say, it was a real blessing to me. I definitely got to tell you that. Let me get. I've got another question here.
Good.
And how has your life differed from that of, and I'm an American of European descent, so I can say this, okay? But how has your life differed from that of the average American of European descent since 9/11?
So during the 9/11 times, I remember that clearly that day. I came out of the shower and we had the TV on. I think it was CNN, either CNN or Fox or something. We were watching the news come on. It was 8:34, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came out of the shower, I had the towel wrapped around me, and I sat down and I started watching, and I was just in disbelief.
Yeah.
Um, I remember my father told me my clothing line was called Don Mahmood at that time, and
Mm-hmm.
it was an urban contemporary line, and we did denims and t-shirts, wovens, a regular clothing line. I had like the denim suits and things like that,
Yeah.
and I did pretty well with that brand. And my father had advised me that, hey, things are going to get tough. You might want to change the name of the company because Mahmoud is a Muslim name, and you don't want it to be out. And I said okay. He knew what he was talking about. And in hindsight, I think I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, there
Mm-hmm.
were going to be some shifts. I should have stayed with that brand because people still, even though I'm not actively in the apparel industry at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
I still frequent the trade shows, meet with the different people that I've kept in touch with,
Mm-hmm.
and they all remember the Damamood brand. And even though I did well with the Eclectic as well, Eclectic jeans, the concept was still the same. Of many, we are one.
Mm-hmm.
We all bleed red, and I think
Yeah.
from a conceptual perspective in the product that I was making, for that time period, I think I was a little ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and then having to make that change did affect business quite a bit. And uh, I know you want to take this on a positive side, but I
No,
have
I mean, I want to be real. I mean, no, if I ask a guy from Pakistani descent, a Muslim, what's happened since 9/11, I'm not expecting you to, yeah, just a rose garden story here. No, I expect it to be real. We're going to get into some real positive stuff in a little while.
sure, sure. So this may be positive for at least the way I'm looking at it is very positive because what I've always wanted to do is I want to make my father proud. I want to make it when my father sees me, like he's super proud of me and say, hey, you know what? My son made it. He's making an impact. He's making a difference.
Hmm.
Um, so I remember when we had one of my first fashion shows. Uh, this is two moments that I remember. He's been super proud of me. So I'm going to tell you about one of those.
Hmm.
Um, I had a fashion show at Nikolai's Roof, I think it was called, at the downtown Hilton in Atlanta, Georgia,
Hmm.
and I had a fashion show there tonight, and we got two limos for my family. There was again quite a few of us, so we packed two limos. We get to the venue, we get to the top, and the bouncer, uh, he's like, hey, there's a private event here tonight, so we're not letting anybody in. And I said, yeah, I'm the designer, it's my show. Oh, he goes, oh, you're Don. And then when he recognizes who it is, then all of a sudden everything changes. He opens
Hmm.
the door for me and my family, and as we come in, there's people already sitting there having their drinks, enjoying the evening, this, that, whatever. So the bouncer and a few other people clear an entire area up where people are already sitting, and these are your typical European white American
Yeah.
majority, right? So as he got everybody up and made that VIP area for my family and sat us down, um, my dad was like, "Man, it was something really big because he had a point when he was one penny short at a KFC. He wasn't able to get a Pepsi,
Hmm.
right? And it's understandable. The other person can, the cashier or whatever, they can say no, we don't know. It's perfectly fine, but it's one penny,
Yeah.
right? So because my father was a foreigner, he wasn't able to get the Pepsi. But I got to a certain point where everybody that's enjoying their drinks, they had to move so my father could sit down.
Hmm.
You know, so
Wow.
that was a proud moment for me and a
Yeah.
proud moment for him. And that's when I kind of uh, took off even more with the clothing business and everything before this happened
Yeah.
with 9/11 stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, did you notice, how do I even put this? Bullying, discrimination. Did things change for you? Was there a noticeable change in the way that people just reacted to you, responded to you, treated you and your family since 9/11?
I think a lot of foreigners felt that. I remember maybe one or two incidences where people are driving by and yelling slurs and things like that.
Hmm.
But I think little by little, those type of things subdued,
Yeah.
and American people in general, you know, I think everybody wants to get along.
Hmm.
It's just when you have a few that come in and start making all these noises and try to divert the thought process and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Look at us. Can you imagine a Muslim Pakistani American guy, becoming friends with a Christian pastor, European white male? I mean, like
Yeah.
your military background, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not. it- those aren't the type of relationship that you would think. People usually stick within their own little circles, right? So
Hmm.
that says if we remove those little barriers that we put up around ourselves and get to know one another,
Yeah.
things can change quite a bit. If you remember this or not, when we did go to that coffee shop and we did a post,
Hmm.
uh, I might be off on my verbiage a little bit, but I think we made a joke out of it. Say a Muslim and a Christian walk into a coffee shop,
Yeah.
right? It was the start of a joke type of thing, but
Yeah.
that's what happened. They had a good time and had a conversation.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think, having lived in Gwinnett County myself, I think it was probably an added blessing that you were there amongst that demographic,
Mhm.
because that's one thing I love about Gwinnett County. And they say there's no minority there, and they're saying no minorities. And they say that the demographics of the US by 2040 will pretty much match that. And if
Mhm.
you've never been to Gwinnett County in the greater Atlanta area, please visit, because oh man, there you will meet so many. There are Korean communities, there's Thai communities, Vietnamese communities, Russian, Ukrainian, Nigerian, Pakistan. I could go on and on and on,
Yeah,
and
we are
it is
definitely
absolutely amazing.
we're definitely a true melting pot. A, you know, a mere reflection of what United States is, a true melting pot
Yes.
of these different nationalities, because all of us came from somewhere.
Yes. You
You
know
know.
what I love about it? I mean, you say melting pot, but I love how most of the people I've seen in Atlanta, the ethnic communities have retained so much of their culture,
Mm.
but they live together, like all the Korean signage there in Duluth,
Right. Yep.
and the
Yep.
businesses, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. And being able to go to certain establishments and getting the just the authentic food, and being able to be in with them in their daily life and experience people and to love on them, and just how much they accept and embrace you as well. I fell in love with that. So it's not like it's not, some homogenous thing where
Mm.
everybody conforms. It's really just unity and diversity, and celebrating differences instead of, despising them.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So, Don, what advice do you have for embracing people from different cultures, religions, and ethnicities?
Get to know one another. If you're afraid of something, get over that fear, get to know each other. And I think that's the easiest way that I can kind of explain, because I've kind of made it, and you got to do it intentionally. I've kind of made it a point for myself, like whenever I'm out and about, I always say hello to people that I kind of maybe even think that there could be like a little conversation or something.
Hmm.
You got to start wanting to connect intentionally, get to know one another. Like, I forget these. There's a lot of teachings through our religions. I wish I was a better Muslim to understand my own religion, But what I
Mhm.
have been able to learn, it's already opened up my eyes quite a bit, and I'm lucky that I was born into it, right?
Mhm.
So if I study it more, and keep it down to the basics, humanity. We're all
Yeah.
here created for a purpose, is to praise God, right, and get to know
Yes.
one another. In the Quran, there's a surah that talks about surah would be passage that talks about, God put us here in different tribes so we could get to know one another.
Mm. It's
So,
beautiful.
for my Muslim friends that may be listening, if I'm misquoting, I apologize, but I'm just going off of memory, so
Yeah. No,
I don't want to
that's
offend anyone.
beautiful. No, that's beautiful, and I think it is so vital and important. And I am friends with, I mean, so many Muslims, especially Palestinian Muslims. And I tell you, just the hospitality, the beauty, the stereotype that so many people have, and that got reinforced, and just the total demonization of Arabs and Muslims, Persians, and people from that region in general, is real. Like I say, it's the Muslims I know and love are the antithesis of all of that. And for anyone listening, if you've never read or listened to Edward Said's book Orientalism, much of it you won't understand if you're not like multilingual and and a walking brain, but you will be able to grasp, like myself, but you will be able to grasp the crux of it, and just the way that the Western mind, the Western academia and media, and just the whole system really demonized people from the East, and turned everything, just turned it into eroticism and Orientalism, and just the stereotypes are just horrendous. And that has been, let's say, that's been perpetuated, unfortunately, through the American church, through the news media, through so many ignorant people. But again, I so agree with Dom. Establish relationships, get outside of your comfort zone. You want to make the world a better place? Start making friends with people who don't look or believe like you, and it'll be wonderful, because you can even, it's not a cliche, you can agree to disagree in total love and in total friendship. Where again, it's just love. We're brothers and sisters, and that's something that I think is so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And you were asking about entrepreneurship and business. Anything that I do, I always look at how I can help others. My whether it's Med Smarter, which is the service that help future physicians like medical students,
Yes.
or Decision 168, which is the work management and productivity platform, or
Hmm.
Z2 Squared, or even EK Jeans, Eclectic Jeans clothing company, whatever business it is, I've always looked at like how can I solve a particular problem, and then try to
Yeah.
build a system around that. And um, I I look at it as like, I haven't really failed. I've always learned from all of whatever happened, and it's taken me on to the next step.
Yeah.
The only time you fail is if you give up, right?
Mm.
So um, the processes that I learned in my apparel manufacturing days, I utilized in my healthcare information technology days. I use those same processes in the software development for Decision 168. I use those same technology and processes to make lives easier for medical students. So,
Yeah.
um, and I set that particular business up for, my wife, Dr. Hara, that, I've seen how she interacts with people. And if, I'll give you a story of from MedSmart. So there's a student that had completed his step one exam. These are some of the hardest exams in the world in order for you to become a doctor, right?
Hmm.
So he wants. We were closing up for winter break, and he had texted that he wanted to stop by real quick before we closed up, and he came through. He had like 4 or 5 boxes of the Florida shared chocolates,
Hmm.
and he started explaining to me how important this exam was to him, because he was the only one that followed in his father's footsteps. His father being a doctor also, and him being the youngest, it was a family moment that his father was super proud of him too, that he had achieved that first step in that goal. So as he's telling me, he gets emotional, he reaches over and he hugs me, like, and this is like, we're feeling like this is my long lost brother or something like that, right? So
Hmm.
if you can imagine the feeling that you would get to help somebody and they're appreciating you,
Yeah.
and then those are blessings that come to you, right?
Yes.
So later on in life, and we still keep in contact too. So whenever he finds out that if something were to happen to me, he would have a genuine prayer from his heart.
Hmm.
May God forgive Don, or what, however it is, but it would be something genuine, even if it's for like a millisecond, right?
Hmm.
So that's the type of impact we try to make for our medical students. I'll try to do the same thing for anyone that's working with me for their business, because I understand, I put myself in that other person's shoes. That what do we need to do to help everybody live a well balanced work life? Work life balance. They say it's so
Yeah.
hard to achieve. The way I look at it is like, how can you separate work from your life, because that is part of your life,
Hmm.
right? So that's
Yes.
why the way we set up Decision 168 is so people can achieve that, or work towards achieving that work life balance, because it is a pursuit, right?
Hmm.
And it's
Yes.
always elusive. So you have to kind of prioritize on what you want to do, what you don't want to do. On one hand, I prioritized um, the family aspect of things. I wanted to be with my children growing up with them.
Hmm.
So I didn't run after, the super large business models and things like that. Even though I set everything up, um,
Hmm.
we can easily scale now, because children have gotten older. It's more, your focus tends to shift a little as you age, right?
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes, sir.
and again, I kind of look at, I've done the math. I probably, if I do make it to my the standard living is what, about 80 or so, right? So even if I do
Somewhere around
make it
there.
to that, because no, tomorrow's not promised to anyone, but if
Hmm.
hypothetically, if I make it to that, I probably have a good 20 years of service left, where I can
Yeah.
provide it properly, where I'm not, I don't want to use the word useless, but I won't be able to be as effective as I can be when I am young, because time's
Hmm.
going to change, technology is going to change, other people are going to come into play to
Yeah.
make things grow. So, and plus, you want to pass the baton, so to say, to the next generation, right? And
Yes.
be that support that you needed, when you're in the come up. Like I would love to be that resource that people can tie into or tap
Hmm.
into. Uh,
Yeah.
so they can find success as well.
And like you were saying, and it's not just us learning from our failures, it's our children, it's the next generation. Because if they can not make the same mistakes that we did by listening and seeing how we messed up, they're so far ahead of the curve. I
Oh,
mean, in so many ways. And when I see these young people now, I'm so proud of them, protesting genocide at the university, standing up. I mean, putting literally, I mean, their careers, their lives on the line for just causes, and saying no, to evil and wherever that is, and really, wanting world peace and to make the world a better place. And man, that tickles me. That just makes me so happy when I see this shift. It's not happening as fast as I would want it to, but I
right.
see it happening. And I'm extremely excited about that and encouraged. And that brings me great hope.
Yeah, and I think that's mainly, as long as we see that shift happening, and the next generation actually stepping up more and being that inspiration sometimes that we need to, uh,
Hmm.
you know to participate in what, so we can support them with what they want to do,
Yeah.
in this whole situation. I learned a little bit about American history too. That the the folks that were around, Thomas Jefferson and all those guys that are founding fathers, their
Mhm.
age ranges were from 18 to 33 when they
Mhm.
signed the Declaration of Independence and things of that nature. So, can you imagine, 18 to 33-year-olds running countries or the government right now?
Yeah.
So it goes to what I just said a few minutes ago. We got to get to a certain point where we pass that baton on to the next generation. Let them tap into our experience, but let them do the work and what's necessary for them to build a better world of what they want and what they would want for their kids. Not
Yeah.
try to impose what we want or what we think the way things should be.
Yeah. That's a good point, but please skip the powdered wig part, guys. Just please. That's all I ask. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I'm being sarcastic.
Well, I'll be looking for your Facebook profile wearing one.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you know or not, but I've been involved in a little bit of this political scene a little bit too. Not in politics per se myself, but
Mhm.
I am the director of operations for an organization called Voices of Muslims,
Uh-huh.
and that's something that we're working very hard on to make sure that we are able to build relationships, interfaith relationships across different communities, and get to know each other more and more, and then
Yeah.
have a seat at the table so we can talk about legislation that's going to impact everyone, right? And what's the
Yes.
best way
Yes.
forward.
Yes. 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 Definitely, and I think that's a great thing. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, the people who want prayer in school, it's usually that only counts for their religion and how they pray, and, even if so, I wouldn't want my kids learning the Bible in a school in certain places because they're not going to be taught right. They're going to be taught bigotry and hatred, and the whole thing is just going to be perverted, and I don't want that. So, man, let it be a spiritual thing. Let it be with the parents. And but you know what? Love is the common denominator, and our brotherhood. And now that part of our religion ought to bleed into society. Mercy, of course, that's going to be a part of who we are. But unfortunately, religion being tied into politics too often associated with hatred, and there's enough enough history to back up that argument. But that needs to change. We need to take what we believe, into every arena, just the things we have in common, and again, love each other, care about each other, treat each other as brothers and sisters.
Yep, I agree. And then, I'll tell you, um, it all boils down to the lack of knowledge and being afraid to gain the knowledge from other
Mm.
people to be able to interact with them, right?
Yeah,
If again, when we started this conversation, we are talking about get to know each other, right? If you get
yeah,
to know someone, then it makes things a lot easier. One of the reasons
yes,
why I got involved with Voices of Muslims is because you remember when our ex-president, or previous Donald Trump was
yeah,
running for office, there was a lot of anti-Muslim rhetoric,
yeah,
and you remember Zishan? He was bullied to the point where he was beat up in school, and
yeah.
they didn't want to do anything about it, and he was left paralyzed from the waist down for a better
Mhm.
part of 6 7 months, and there was a
Yeah,
lot of a lot of things that we had to do to help him overcome that particular situation. And
yes.
I feeling helpless. Now I'm going. I'll talk a little bit selfishly, right?
Mhm, that's okay.
That whole situation that happened with my son and everything, and I wanted him, to be better, and I don't want anybody else to go through that. But
Yeah,
as a parent yourself, can you imagine that you cannot fulfill the basic duties of a father to protect his family?
yeah,
You know,
that's gotta
and
hurt.
and that messed with me a lot. I mean, it still does. Like, 'cause in one way or another, that's how we are now. We're helpless. We can't do certain things to protect our families, our loved ones here, overseas in Palestine, and everything that what's going on, right?
Mm, yeah,
So it puts a heavy toll on you. And there's a lot of mental health issues that come along with that.
Yeah.
So, um, in so going through all of those pains, I was able to, when I came across the founder of Voices of Muslims, I believe it was in 2022. I took that as my opportunity, like, hey, you know what? This is something that we can do to bring the community together, get people to start knowing one another, have that the interfaith conversations, and be involved in politics, so people can kind of understand what it really takes for legislation to happen. You have to be at the table. You have to have those conversations, and
Yeah.
then going from my son being in the hospital and being paralyzed for 7 months
Mm.
to being on a and now the school was not really supporting us the way we needed to, and I had to go through a lot, to come to some kind of terms with them. That's an entire separate conversation. I won't go into that right
Mm.
now, but then being able to be on stage and my son being able to share his story in 2023. Last year we implemented
Oh,
Muslim
wow.
American Heritage Month for July, and we're doing that again. We're kicking off our activities for that.
Mm.
Obviously is going to be slightly different this year because of the whole environment of what's going on, but still we want to do that outreach and let people know what the contributions of Muslim Americans has been in order for us to be where we are now.
Yeah.
It's not what you see on TV, right? So where do these kids that uh, were making these comments or having that type of interaction learn those things from at home, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to educate ourselves as parents to be able to connect with one another and get to get to know what the differences are and kind of focus on the similarities. If you look on my I guess shameless plug or whatever you want to call it. If you look on my TikTok and some of my other social medias, there's a video that I have of another Marine, ex-Marine,
Mhm.
that was talking about blowing up a mosque, and I believe it was in Texas, and
Mm.
that's entire another story. But I think his name was Max. I don't remember his last name, but we can always look that up. But he ended up converting, or
Mhm.
reverting is what it's called. He ended up reverting, and then the same mosque that he planned to blow up, he ended up being, I guess, the CEO of it, or one of the people that was actually running that mosque,
Wow.
masajid. So
Wow.
it's a very powerful statement. So like when you open your eyes and have conversation with people, you know
Mhm.
I'm not trying to convert anybody or anything like that. I just want to,
Yeah.
live life. I want to be happy. I want my kids to be happy. I don't want to harm anyone. I don't want anyone to harm anyone else.
Yeah.
Um, and if I need to stand up to someone, I don't want to be afraid to do that. And then I don't want to be afraid of the repercussions of what may happen because I've gone through certain things when I was younger that learned a lot of patience, and that's what I hold on to. You know,
Yeah, and
it
it's a
just seems
shame
like
that people have to, like, convince other people that they're human.
right.
That's, that's the bottom line there, and yeah, like I say, the things people have learned, and I'm telling you, you said, you talk about when you watch TV. I encourage people, and this scares people sometimes because anything that sounds Arabic or a woman in a hijab or whatever, man, why would anybody be scared of a piece of cloth or a language or all that stuff or something that doesn't sound like it came from Europe? I mean, grow up, open your eyes. But I highly recommend start watching, if you just start out watching a little bit, but Al Jazeera English live on YouTube. It's free, and you're going to see images and things of people around the world. Also, right now you can YouTube like Pakistan. Like people think, some people think, oh, it's just this desert and there's camels and it's dry. It is one of the most beautiful places on earth, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it has more glaciers than anywhere other than the North and South Pole. I mean, there's mountains and it's gorgeous. get on YouTube, learn about countries, hear from some of these vloggers, look at the people. That's why somebody like Anthony Bourdain, who traveled and met people, we need more Anthony Bourdains. We really do.
Well, we
And
need it. I mean, a lot of people. It's good to see it online, and I agree with it. There's a lot of parts of Pakistan I haven't seen myself. There's a lot of parts of the United States I haven't seen myself yet, and
yeah,
they're very beautiful, right? But
yeah,
what we need to do is just get out, explore, get to know,
yeah.
you know,
As
and
much as you can, and if you can travel, do it.
yeah, if you can travel, do it, and then if you can't travel, fine. There's trust me, there's plenty of uh, a lot of different people around that you can tap into just by having that conversation. But
There
uh,
sure are, because
have some
all these ethnic groups, so many are right here in the United States. They're your neighbor.
Yeah, and have some critical thinking, and then try to figure out like if you're hearing something about someone that may be negative. Well, where's that information coming from? Don't just believe
Yeah,
everything you see on the media because it's a lot easier to sell negativity than it is positivity.
yeah.
And follow the money. Don't let anybody control you. You know,
Mhm, mhm,
unfortunately, a
mhm.
lot of people just fall into that trap of, oh, this sounds good and this guy has a better approach or this that whatever. It's the marketing, right?
Yep,
you know
yep,
if you paint me as a very villainous person, that's what
yep.
people are going to start believing, right?
Yeah,
And
it's a divide and conquer game, and the military industrial complex always needs a bad guy, a boogeyman for to take care of its supply of bombs because there's got to be a demand, and too often politicians are creating that demand, and it's just straight evil. And again, there I go again, but it's the truth, and we could talk about just a number of things that. That are just so real. So yeah, don't let them divide and conquer us. Make friends with people who don't look or believe like you, and make the world a better place. As much as I sound like a Miss Universe pageant contestant saying that, I believe that from the bottom of my heart. I truly do.
yeah. No, I a lot of people want to understand that, oh, well, these guys are agreeing on everything. This is what it's going to take. Get to know. And then one thing I will say about the politicians, and if you want to cut this out later on, you can, but I will tell you, um, we're all human. Nobody is smarter than the next person's inside. What it's just about doing, and people are in certain situations
Yeah,
that out from the outside it looks like these people are in control, but it needs to be a systematic adjustment.
yeah,
I won't say change this or whatever, but it needs to be a systematic adjustment where people do understand that, hey, if you are doing all of this to make money and billions of dollars, and
yep,
could, there is money in war, right?
yep.
Um, if that's what you're focused on, figure out another way to make money. Can we help you? Can we just donate something to you for you to stop all of this negativity and killing, things like that?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Uh,
Stop it. And yeah, with all the you look at APAC and just all of these organizations, these lobbyists and everything else. There's so many of the politicians they're bought and paid for. I forget who the comedian was, but he said, politicians should be like NASCAR drivers. Whoever owns them, whoever sponsor them, they should have patches all over their suits. And
oh, yeah.
yeah, I'd like to see that. Yeah,
Uh, I think there should be definitely there should be a change in running our office. Like I look at some of the people that are on whether it's TikTok, and I forget um, the organization that she was with, but there's a lot of people that are doing it from an individual perspective, and they're getting in trouble. But the responses that we're seeing from some of these officials,
hmm,
it's like, bro, you got to look at what's actually happening.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
people can only speak based off what's happening. If that's not what's happening, that what we're saying. Then give us the right information,
Yeah, yeah,
right? How,
yeah,
how can you deny what's going on over there right now?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a travesty, but you know what? I'm thankful for the internet. I'm thankful for it's made the world a a much smaller place, and
Yeah,
it's made it a lot more difficult for governments to get away with evil because it's being recorded in real time, atrocities and everything else. And then you've got these righteous whistleblowers and people of conscience who will not cooperate, and that's people of all. I mean, there are, I mean, people of conscience. When I'm talking about it, I'm talking Jewish, Christian, Muslim, atheist, whatever, Hindu, whatever they believe. There's still people of conscience who just say, hey, I can't go along with this. This is just straight up wrong. Um, and I'm glad there are more people speaking up and standing up, and especially the youth. There is a generational shift, and I'm so thankful for that. Last question,
Yes.
um, and then I'll let you just share anything you'd like at the very end. But this is huge. But what is your vision for America and the world?
Um, I think I'm such a minute piece of what the total, um, you know, the entire system that's set up. My vision, um, I would like it for it to be one of peace and unity.
Hmm.
Uh,
That's what I'm alluding to. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I would like for it to be, and I think majority of the people in the world do want that. Is just unfortunately, there's a certain few that control many, and you know, call me optimistic if you want,
Hmm.
but I think we will come to a place where there will be peace. Um,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
I think too with that, and I only speak for myself, and I find myself doing this. I have to, if that's going to happen, I have to really police my own religion and people who say that they're Christians but do not follow the teachings of Jesus and are total infernalists and annihilationists and warmongers and do not follow the teachings of Jesus. I have to stand up because the religious undercurrents that cause even such ignorant politicians with horrible theology to make decisions based on that's really destroying people, destroying the earth, destroying so much, has got to change. And so I think so much of it is not just political, it's theological, because if people have a mind change, in Christianity we call it a metanoia.
mm,
It's a change of mind, and that's the word we get metamorphosis from, where this is a true revelation of God who is love, and of a humanity that he loves, and of loving ourselves, loving our neighbor, and just placing value on God and his creation. Um, and again, I think that is so important. I think that is part of how we get to where we're going. And I know what it is with me. And a lot of times people see me, man, I'm not a Christian basher. I love Christians. I love Jesus, and I know Muslims do too.
yes.
But but the whole thing is, man, we can't progress if we are doing all these things, calling ourselves Christian and doing these things, in the earth and to the earth, and just destroying people and playing divide and conquer. It's a misrepresentation of God, and it's a misrepresentation of our truest selves. So yeah,
I
you're
think
welcome to speak to that.
Yeah, that's another point that I 100% agree with you on also. But I will just say one additional thing that is like, again, if you can remember that you're not going to be here for a very long time, you don't tomorrow's promised to no one. If you think about that consciously, I think you may operate a little differently. Uh,
Hmm.
Look at how many people that we know, whether it's celebrity or in our family members or friends as well, that are no longer here,
Yes, I
right?
lost I lost my best friend from high school just like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was just horrible. It's so precious to me. But yeah, it does make you think. You think of your own mortality. You're right, and how much time you have, and what is it that I'm going to do to love creation and to pass the baton for a better
How
world.
can you help someone? How can maybe I hope somebody listens to this podcast and it opens up their eyes, opens up their heart, opens up their minds to expand a little bit more, and there maybe it could be a catalyst of change.
Yeah,
You asked about the vision for the world and all that kind of stuff. Peace, love, happiness, all the the good things bundled up into one. You know, we can find that common ground. It was there.
Yes, yes,
So
yes. I agree 100%, my brother, and I love you. Warmest regards to your
I love you too. I
precious
look forward to
family.
meeting with you again soon. And then you know what, I would love to do this again with
Yes,
maybe like an open conversation with a couple of other folks too,
let's do
uh,
it.
that can kind of just add into the conversation. I think that would be really good. So yeah, definitely.
Let's do it. Just
I appreciate
share your
the
thoughts with me, and we'll put it together, make it happen.
definitely, definitely. Thank you so much.
Inshallah. Yeah, but it'll happen.
Inshallah. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
All
Peace
right.
salam, my brother Joe Chabron. I love you so much. Thank you so much.
Love you too, brother. I will talk with you soon.
Yep, inshallah. Allah
All
Hafiz.
right. Bye bye. Thanks so much for tuning in to that wonderful interview with Don Mahmood. And remember, world peace is not only possible, it's inevitable.